Hey, everybody, my name is Jim Farmer, and I'm the festival director of Out on Film at Atlanta's LGBTQ Film Festival, as well as an arts reporter for Georgia Voice. I am so very happy today to have as our special guest Sampson McCormick. Sampson is an actor, a writer, a producer, and a comedian. And Sampson has just written and starred a new film called Love the One You're With. Sampson, thanks so much for joining us today.
Thank you so much for having me, Jim. I gotta warn you, I got braces, so who knows what my mouth might do over here.
Thanks for the warning. Thanks
Yes.
for the warning. Congratulations on the film.
Thank you. Thank you. We're really proud of it.
Yeah, I watched it yesterday. I'm just kind of curious. Obviously, I want to ask you a lot about the film, but did you make this pre-COVID, or was it during COVID that you actually made the film? Wrote the film and started, obviously.
Oh, we did it. It was totally illegal the way we shot that film. We broke so many COVID guidelines
Uh,
shooting that film. Thankfully, nobody got sick, but we shot it November and December of 2020.
okay, great. Now, had you
Mhm.
written this a long time before that? When did you write it?
I wrote it last summer.
Okay, all right.
Mhm.
How did you go about? Do you want to talk to me about the illegal filming, or is that all you want to say about the illegal filming? I mean, well, I guess my question is, I mean, last year was such a, I mean, no one knew how to proceed last year, or how to do it. But how did you navigate filming this movie, and making sure that everybody felt safe, and just making sure you got through it?
Well, two ways. The first one is 2020 was, I hate to say it, it was a good year for me because
Yeah,
you know how people were freaking out during COVID
yeah,
because my life and my anxiety level was like that pre-COVID.
hmm,
So when COVID came, I was like, oh, y'all just catching up to all the anxiety. So that was a good part. As for the film though, I tried to keep it short, shoot it over a short amount of time,
yeah,
to limit any risk.
sure.
And the twist that happened was we shot the whole thing, and then the editor comes to my house to transfer it on my computer so that we can sit down and look at the footage.
Yeah.
Lost everything,
Oh no.
lost the
Wow.
whole film. So I had to call everybody and shoot the whole film all over again.
How did they react when they found out about that?
They didn't care. They just knew they were going to get paid again. They didn't care. They were happy to be working during COVID.
Well, I'm,
Yeah.
I'm glad that you were able to navigate that, and film it again. But so this is a film that you wrote. This is a film that you have a role in. For people who have not seen the film, just tell us a little bit about it.
So for the people who haven't seen the film, you have to run, not walk to Amazon Prime and watch Love the One You're With. It's a film that we as Black queer people have
Mm,
been waiting for. It's a film that as a creator, I'm extremely proud of. And it just shows, it's very relatable to
yeah,
anybody. It just shows, what happens when you aren't honest in love.
yeah,
It shows what can happen when you stop communicating.
sure.
And on a more positive side, it also shows how love sometimes can kind of land at your doorstep without you looking for it, kind of.
Quite literally, yeah. So, can you talk a little bit about the two main characters of the film and where they are as the film opens?
So the two main characters, insert fancy music. Dun, 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 dun. The two main characters are Miles and Avery.
Yeah,
And they've been together for a while. They've been together for 6 years.
yeah,
And it starts out great the way a lot of relationships do. And over the course of time, something happens
hmm,
and they can't quite put their finger on it, or they never told me what happened.
yeah,
We don't see what happens, but we do see that somebody's trifling.
yeah.
And if you got a trifling boyfriend, anything can happen.
So, tell us about your character.
So my character is Renee. Renee owns a coffee shop, and Renee is that best friend that I think we all either have or need,
Yeah,
who you can confide in about everything, but he also is willing to let you do whatever it is you need to do and learn whatever lessons you need to learn.
sure, sure. What I liked about the film is that, it 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 deals with a lot of issues. I mean, it deals with, monogamy and relationships, communication, deals with mental illness. Can you talk a little bit about some of those issues as you were writing it, the decision to have to, and thank you for doing that, to include those issues? Because aren't seen
Yeah,
in those aren't in every movie. That those are issues that some people just avoid.
yeah, and that's why so many people walk out of movie theaters and walk away from television screens or turn away from television channels,
Mhm.
feeling unfulfilled because they're looking at things they can't relate to.
Yeah,
Whether I'm on a comedy stage or I'm sitting down to create a project, I always look at what I'm doing and I ask myself, how honest can I be?
sure.
And I also leave space for the characters to tell me their true stories,
Hmm.
good, the bad, and the ugly. And the beautiful thing about that, Jim, is that by being able to see that,
Hmm.
even as messy as some of those characters are in that film, you were able to give them grace because you see how complex we are as human beings.
Exactly.
And that's the idea. I come from the church,
Hmm.
and so that you can feel that in my work a little bit, because it's a lesson and it's going to teach you some things. But I really do like for us to be able to look at ourselves and see our humanity and see how people do things, how we can be better, and just feel all around.
Exactly. I mean, as you said, I mean, anybody can relate to this film, and relationships themselves are all hard. I mean, no relationship is easy. I mean, they all go through things. Can you talk about the particular challenges that gay Black men have to go through in relationship and dating?
Jim, I didn't know we dated anymore. No, I'm
Newsflash.
joking. I'm joking. But I really do think that people are afraid to date now because I mean,
Yeah.
well, number one, dating in with 2021 is a horror show, Um, but it's mostly because so many of us have things that we have to work through and so many things that we're afraid of.
Yeah.
And so I guess when creating these stories and even being on stage, it's why is this happening?
Yeah.
Okay, this is happening because maybe I have anxiety. Why do I have anxiety? Because I'm afraid you might leave me, and then I'm gonna have to deal with that. So it's just the many different things attached to it. And again, you just got to put it all out there.
Okay. All right. The cast, I mean, there's a really strong ensemble here. Can you talk a little bit about the cast and some of these people you've worked with obviously before? Can you talk a little bit about gathering all these people and working with the director to sort of get this great team together?
Okay, so I might be a little bit biased, but I think that we had the best team in the world. We had the best team. To think about it, to have to shoot a film twice, and that's not easy. That's a whole lot of stuff you got to hold on to. I'm the executive producer, so I got paper scattered all over the place trying to learn my lines and
Mhm.
make sure everybody has food. But they were so patient, and everybody were just we were all total team players,
Sure.
and that's why I like working with them over and over again. But some of them I like working with too much, and I had to tell a couple of them, "You're not doing my next film." I like working with them too much. You gotta switch it up. They're really awesome people. Our director, who is Spencer M. Collins the
Mhm.
fourth, is an NAACP uh, Theater Award nominee,
Mhm.
which is incredible. That's complete excellence in theater. And he's also done some amazing film projects.
Yeah.
I totally admire him. So amazing. And then there's Anthony Bond,
Yeah.
who came in. He has a great website that he runs with a lot of Black queer content on it,
Yeah.
and he brought a lot of expertise. I bought mine. We worked in this really interesting way that we were able to merge our ideas together, and it made it a lot easier to work with than
Yeah.
some people you work with, like a total clash. It was beautiful. And then the cast just came in and they knocked it out.
Oh, nice. That's great to hear. So, I mean, again, congratulations on the film, and you're on Amazon Prime. How did that work out?
Amazon Prime, I think it was just timing.
Yeah.
Everybody's at home, everybody wants to see something, and the film is really good.
Hmm.
I have to pat myself on the back. We did a great job. And and it was just a recipe for goodness. And so Amazon was like, well, your film can live here. And we were like, yes, put this film in beautiful home on Amazon Prime. And it's doing really well.
That's great to hear. So, that is so remarkable because you filmed it and you lost it, and then you filmed it again at the end of last year, and literally months later, you're on Amazon Prime. Did you ever think that the turnaround would be like that? I mean, that was really, really quick to be able to get a distributor and to put it out there for the masses so quickly.
No, to be very honest, I was going to just put it on YouTube with the rest
Yeah,
of my work. I got a lot of movies and stuff that I've done over the years on
yeah.
YouTube, but there was something so special about this film that and I and I spent a lot of money on it. I spent $10,000. I was like, I am not about to put a $10,000 movie on YouTube, because at the same time, if you have something, even if it's done really well like
Yeah.
that, if people can just go click it and look at it on YouTube, it loses a lot of respect. People
Yeah.
lose some respect for it. And then, of course, being Black queer content, we're still working to make a space for ourselves in the business.
Yeah.
It's a double-edged sword. So, it's you have to just kind of balance it the right way. And I wanted it to be accessible to everybody. I didn't want everybody to have to pay $20 to see it.
Sure.
But at the same time, I've been in this business for 20 years, putting out great work that I work really hard to make sure that the quality is up here.
Mhm.
And, I'm always looking to improve and evolve.
So, if I'm correct, the film premiered in February on Amazon, correct?
So first we did because I'm from DC, so we did an exclusive screening for
Okay.
the Real Affirmations Film Festival,
Oh, nice.
and I think they always do very well at Real Affirmations, but this one again, it came out of the gate knocking them out the park, and I was shocked at how. I mean, I have an audience, of course, but I was just shocked at the enthusiasm
Yeah.
behind it. I was like, okay, and then when it ended up on Amazon Prime, uh, and the numbers are still going up. I think the first week we had a few thousand, and now it's up to 500,000. It's like 546,000,
That's great.
which is it's really good.
Yeah. The reason I was asking is that, I've talked to a lot of filmmakers over the last year, especially as we've all been housebound and at home being able to do this. And what they tell me so much is that they love the fact that their films are getting seen and they're online and people are able to see them, but they miss the whole opening night or the opening night where and it sounds like you were able to do that. So, I mean, what was that like to see it for the first time and have a crowd there participating, watching, and really getting into it and appreciating your work?
Well, like the rest of the filmmakers, I miss opening night. I miss
Yeah.
the butterflies and the anxiety sitting there, like, oh my God, are they gonna laugh at that line? How are they gonna respond to this? I would have loved to have been in the theater for that, but
Mhm.
what we did was we did a virtual screening, and it was where people had a period of time to watch it
Yeah.
between that Friday night and that Saturday afternoon. So they had 24 hours to look at it. And so I didn't know what they were thinking while they were watching it. I didn't know until the next afternoon when I started reading the tweets and
Yeah.
things people were writing on Facebook.
Nice. You've been incredibly busy. I mean, obviously you've been busy for a long time. I mean, as you mentioned, last year was very, very good for you. Can you talk a little bit about Church Boy and getting that out and seen?
Church Boy. Oh, Jimmy, you did your homework.
I,
So
I'm a journalist.
I appreciate it. So Church Boy, we put that out last year,
Yeah.
and I'm happy that we did. When we were filming it, I had no idea that the week after would be the week that a pandemic started and shut everything down. That was my last weekend of performing live shows.
Oh wow.
And I just really wanted to record a really good
Yeah.
concert because it had been 8 years since I put one out,
Yeah.
and that's what we did. That one was just an appreciation of for the craft and for my hardcore comedy supporters or fans, or I call them family. I don't like the word fans,
Okay.
but people who support me and they're like, we need some comedy. And I was like, here you go.
Where can people see Church Boy?
YouTube.
Okay.
If you, but I have to say, it's really great. It could have easily been on Netflix.
Okay.
It's so good.
Yeah, I'll have to check it out. So I mean, last year, as we all know, was crazy. When do you think you'll be able to, when do you think people will be able to perform again and do events that we're normally able to? I mean, do you think performing is something in the near future? Will it be next year for you?
Okay, so you know what I said earlier about doing illegal things and sneaking out and doing movies? Do you think that just stopped at shooting movies? Of course, I've been sneaking out doing illegal shows.
Okay.
Okay, we got to keep the lights on over here, not like
Exactly.
food. Um, I mean, obviously, I'm not doing 200 and 300 seaters like I'm used to every weekend. But I've gone out and done a couple shows where we had maybe 15 or 20 people in the audience. I think I've done maybe 6 of those since the shutdown, and I've been doing a lot of virtual comedy.
Okay. Okay. I have to ask you about Atlanta because Atlanta is a place where you have done some of your work. Can you, first of all, can you talk a little bit about your affinity to Atlanta?
Atlanta is one of the best cities in this country. Okay. 100%. I know you shouldn't do this, but I don't follow traditions or customs or any of that stuff. Atlanta, along with Houston and Tacoma, Washington, and Washington, D.C. Am I missing anywhere?
No. No.
And Charlotte, North Carolina,
Okay.
and Chicago are my favorite cities.
Nice. What makes Atlanta one of your favorite cities?
The progress. Atlanta is a very dynamic city. I enjoy dynamic energy, and it's Black Hollywood and the South.
Exactly. There's definitely a lot going on here. I mean, I know that you did a benefit last year for Positive Impact. It was a virtual. Can you talk a little bit about that event?
Of course, community is very important to me. So I make sure that while I'm doing all the fun stuff, it's fun, but it's people look at show business and they go, oh, y'all are having fun and getting a bunch of attention, and that's nice. But at the same time, a commitment to understanding, hey, you have a platform, you represent a group of people, and you need to make sure that you are pouring as much positive energy, any resources, any help, anything that you have that can give back and uplift and make a way for other people. We have an obligation to do that. And again, it was one of those wonderful things where Olivia contacted us, and she said, we really like your work, can you work with us to do this and this? I thought it was awesome because they do awesome work over at Positive Impact. And so I was like, well, y'all are doing this, and this. Let's add in some of this. And it was a very successful and, no pun intended, positive event. Positive impact, positive event. It was a positive event, positive night.
I wanted to ask you, love the one you. I know that you've written a lot, but was this your first feature length script?
That I've written, yes.
Okay.
I've written several films, but yeah, this is my first, this is a feature.
What was the segue from going to a shorter film to a feature length? I mean, what more did that take out of you?
It was nothing really special.
Mhm.
other than the process. You know, I might sit down to write something and say, okay, this is going to be 20 minutes, and it ends up being an hour, and I might sit down to write an hour, and it ends up being 20 minutes.
Exactly.
So that's how that happened. The process, I have to be honest, was exhausting.
Mhm.
It was exhausting because number one, I absolutely demand the best of myself, which we should all be doing that.
Mhm.
And I wrote it right here in the middle of my floor. The dog kept me company a few of those nights. And it was so exhausting that I would write 2 pages and then I would like fall asleep and I would sleep for 4 hours. And then I would get up and write some more. If the character stopped speaking to me, I stopped writing.
Okay. Okay. Now you're in Los Angeles now, correct?
Hmm.
You've been there for about 5 years?
Hmm.
Where were you before Los Angeles?
Oh, before LA, I was in the wind. I was everywhere. But I was one time, believe it or not, I really didn't have a home. I was
Yeah.
on the road. Um, I had an ex, he and I, we broke up. And
Mhm.
so I spent a few months touring,
Yeah.
didn't have anywhere to stay. So I was staying in hotels,
Okay.
believe it or not, like it was technically homeless,
Yeah.
but I was so busy, I didn't have time to go get an apartment. So I was staying in these nice hotels, and it was great. And then before that, it was Oakland. I was in Oakland for 4 years, and before that, DC.
Samson, you mentioned you've been working for a long time now. You've done a lot of films, comedy. You mentioned that last year was a great year for you. What do you attribute that to having such a great year after working so hard for so long?
That's why it was a great year, because I had been working so hard for so long. I was able to sit down and just breathe and not feel the pressure that comes along with making sure that you stay on top of, topics that are going on in the world, and
Hmm.
running all to the airport. And I would have never been able to bond with my dog the way I
Yeah.
have, or friends, or have a sex life. We were just sneaking, doing all kinds of stuff during COVID, right? And we took everything off, including our mask. But that came off last though.
Okay.
But no, it really was refreshing to be able to have a life.
Exactly. Yeah. So many people that I've spoken with said, they obviously hated what was going on, that they were scared for their livelihood, their health, their jobs. But if there was any silver linings, that they were able to do things at home and learn new things, spend more time at home. We got a dog recently, and we spent so much time last year just with our dog playing, and it was nice not to always be on the run and be able to do that. Not that I'm happy about last year, but I'm just saying there were some virtues of being able to stay at home and do simple things that maybe we don't have time to do normally. So
Yeah, it was a lot of positives. I mean, sure, there was a lot of anxiety, and
mm,
we saw a lot of horrible things on television.
yeah,
Um, at the same time, I joke about it, but my life had been that up until COVID. So all that anxiety that people had, oh
yeah,
my God, when 2020 hit and people were freaking out buying all the toilet paper and stuff like that, I have anxiety, and well, I deal with it very well.
yeah.
OCD and all that. So I had already gone and bought all the toilet paper before COVID. So I was sitting up in here smoking a cigarette, looking at people on TV like, oh my God, y'all aren't prepared. I had everything. I had everything. I had everything was stocked up. It was no problem.
Good for you. So I have to ask you about B-Boy Blues. Can you talk a little bit about that? And I mean, that has that filmed already, or is that about to be filmed?
So it was shot last year,
Okay.
and hopefully it should be out this year.
Oh, lovely. I mean, can you talk
Mhm.
a little bit about that experience?
Um, well, I was in the original stage play,
Hmm.
and that was a really great experience. I mean, it's an culturally iconic work,
Yeah.
and it was what word do I want to use? I was happy to be a part of it. It was definitely a learning experience. And it was nice for so many different entities to come together and work on such an iconic project.
Can you tell? I mean, I know this, but can you tell the audience who's directing this?
So the director is the one and only Jesse Smollett.
Yay, that's great. I mean, how difficult, because you're in this film and you're also a producer of this film. How hard was it to get this to the point where you could film it for, to make a feature film out of this?
Oh, what was that question again?
How difficult was it to turn this into a film? I mean, because I mean, in terms of getting backing and funding to be able to produce this, how hard was this to be able to make this into a film?
Oh, of course, that was a huge challenge because the industry, especially when it comes to financing and backing projects and being able to see why folks need to get behind it and support it and what makes it so great, we know that there is a little hesitancy when it comes down to Black films, supporting Black films, and of course, Black queer films.
Yeah.
But whenever we create something and there's solid backing and teamwork behind it, every time that it goes to the theaters, these are the top grossing films. And that was the biggest challenge, but we had the perfect team to overcome a lot of the challenges that we had.
Yeah. I mean, when do you foresee a time when Black queer films can be produced more often and be in theaters and be, it's great to see a film like this on Amazon, but when can we see more films like this on Amazon and Netflix and in theaters? When do you think we'll be able at that stage?
I think it's coming, gradually, hopefully within the next 10 years.
Yeah.
I talk about being a comedian, which I've been a comic for 20 years.
Mhm.
And I was one of the first Black queer stand-up comedians.
Mhm.
When I was doing a lot of touring and out on the road and things like that, there were no Black gay comedians. I was like the only one. There probably were a couple of us running around, but as far as like notoriety,
Yeah.
in the business, making people look at what we were talking about and go, wait a minute, where's the rest of this at? Like it was me. And now if you look at it, we have a handful more and you see a lot more queer comedy shows.
Yeah.
There are Netflix specials with Black queer comedians, Flame Monroe, who's transgender, Shantae Wayans, who is she's a part of the Wayans family. She's a very proud lesbian, out lesbian. Sam J is another one who has a great special on Netflix. I mean, you're starting to see an emergence. The only thing I don't have a problem saying is that I've been out here for a long time, a lot longer than a lot of the people who are getting the visibility, and I would like to put my stamp down. I've more
Okay.
than worked for it and blazed that trail.
Okay. Great. The film is Love the One You're With. It's on Amazon Prime. Check it out. Thank you so much for joining us. It was great talking to you. I definitely look forward to B-Boy Blues, hopefully later this year.
Yes.
And thanks for everything. Continued good luck.
Yes, thank you so much.
Thanks so much, Sampson.
Thank you, Jim. This was
Take care.
really
See you
great
later.
talking to
Yeah.
you.